Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Mohammed. In this video, I'll tell you my journey of how I became an orthodontic resident here in the University at Buffalo. And hopefully it can inspire you to pursue a career in orthodontics, or it can give you an insight on one of the many different ways to join an orthodontic residency. So I was born in Iraq and I grew up in Dubai. I also went to dental school there at the University of Sharjah. So this made me an international dental student. And that makes it a little bit more difficult to join an orthodontic residency program in the US. So in 2013, I came to visit the US as a tourist, and I loved the place so much that I said to myself, I want to study here. Back then I was already in dental school, so I started researching the different ways to continue my education here in the US. Now the good thing for me is that I knew early on in dental school that I wanted to specialize and I didn't want to do general dentistry. And why I did that is a whole other story for a different video. Knowing that I wanted to specialize and now having a place where I knew I wanted to specialize definitely gave me a clear, focused path on what I should do next. A little bit of research made it very clear that there were 3 exams that I had to take to be able to apply for orthodontic residency and to meet the minimum requirements. However, of course, meeting the minimum requirements does not guarantee admission into an orthodontic residency. Those exams were the MBDE Part 1. Back then it was 2 parts, now it's only 1 part. And then the TOEFL exam, which is the English Proficiency Language exam for foreigners, and the GRE exam, which everyone has to take. And that exam is a lot like an SAT, if you're familiar, which examines you on English and mathematics. I took my MBDE Part 1 in the US as soon as I could, and that was after my 3rd year in dental school. My program was a 5-year program, and thankfully I passed that test. And as soon as I did, I knew that I'll be able to apply for orthodontic residency. All I had to do now was do the GRE test and the TOEFL test, and those, to me at least, were easier, or so I thought. I had one academic year to take the GRE test and the TOEFL test, but obviously in dental school it is stressful and it's difficult to prepare for tests while you're studying. Luckily, most of my education was in English, so taking the TOEFL test was not that much of a challenge and I was able to score well. The most important thing is try to score above 100. That really keeps you in the top tier for international students when it comes to English language proficiency tests. So after I took the TOEFL test, I waited until the summer to take the GRE because I knew I had to prepare for that test. I'm not the strongest in maths, and that test seemed different to what I'm used to. I took the GRE test, and unfortunately I did not score so well. There's no official minimum score for the GRE test when applying for the school. They only want the score to be reported. So I applied for orthodontic residency for the first time. I also had my hopes up a little bit because during that summer when I was applying, I also visited some of the orthodontic programs I was applying to, and I showed some keen interest in some of the programs. Some programs showed some keen interest in me applying to the program. Eventually I ended up getting only 1 interview. I did fly out just for that interview because I was super excited and I really wanted to become an orthodontist, and this was my chance. Unfortunately, I was not skilled enough. I didn't know what an interview entailed. I didn't know what I was supposed to do during an interview, and it's safe to say that everything that I shouldn't do during an interview, I did during that interview. It was, let's just say it's something I'm not really proud of. But it's something that I had to go through to realize how little I knew so I can prepare more for the next cycle. When I was applying for my next cycle, I had already graduated dental school and I submitted all my applications. And because I finished my dental school, I was able to take part 2 of the MBDE. And again, thankfully, I passed that test. And I also did the same thing I did the previous summer, where I went to visit programs that I was applying to show them that I'm very serious about applying and joining orthodontic residency. Unfortunately, what happened this time is only one thing changed in my CV or resume, and that's the MBDE Part 2. Other than that, nothing really changed. And that's why I didn't get a single interview that application cycle. And that made me think I need to do something different to be able to get into this residency that I want. And so I started looking into visiting programs for a longer term. And what I ended up finding was there are fellowships for orthodontic residencies. So what you do is you visit a program and you observe or do some clinical training for several months and sometimes up to a year. And I applied for different programs, and what happened is that I gained admission into the Advanced Clinical Training Program at UCLA. And during my year there, I learned a lot about orthodontics. I really felt like I became much more prepared for orthodontic residency. I also went and attended the AAO conference, which is the American Association of Orthodontics conference. Over there, I met different program directors. Obviously, I had to look them up to know who they are, what they look like, what they're called, and where they are doing their presentations during the meeting, so I can go and talk to them after their presentation is over. That helped me during the interview season because some of the directors where I interviewed had already seen me or we had a conversation before, and that really helps make you feel a little bit more familiar and less awkward during the interview. And I also got to meet residents from different orthodontic residencies around the US, and that also helps. Because trust me, when you're trying to get into residencies, leaving a good impression with many different people will take you a very long way towards that goal. Now, I didn't get a lot of interviews during that third cycle. I only ended up getting 3 interviews. Statistically speaking, that's all what you need to get into residency. Most people who get 3 or more interviews end up matching at one of the 3 programs where they did interview. So there's a good chance that if you don't match after getting 3 or more interviews, then you need to work on your interviewing skills. But as the saying goes, third time's a charm, and that is what happened. After my third cycle of interviewing, I finally matched at the University of Buffalo, and I'm super grateful that I did. It was a relatively long journey, and I did have to go through it 3 times, but knowing that I wanted to be an orthodontist made me sure that even if that third time didn't work, I was probably gonna go and try and be an orthodontist for the 4th time. And that's why it is important for you to really know what you want to do so that you can be really committed to it, no matter what the obstacles you face are. And that is my story of how I became an orthodontic resident in the US. It took a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck when it comes to meeting the right people. No, I never met anyone in Buffalo. Just a shitload of hard work. And sprinkles of blessings. And please don't forget to share this video with anyone you know who might be interested in an orthodontic residency or pursuing any kind of residency inside the US. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.